So, how did I start my homestead? Stick around. We're going to talk about it. And that's the other thing. That's the caveat on it. It's your homestead. Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. Today I wanted to discuss how I started my homestead and if I was a new homesteader, what I would do to start a homestead in 2025. The reason why I wanted to do this video is because a lot of the viewers here are either new homesteaders or they want to start a homestead and they're just getting information and whatnot. That's the new turkey habitat in there. I still got to build the wall. I'm putting the wall up right here with the entrance in it so that they can go in when they want to and come out when they want to and have a little shelter back there. But anyway, so, you know, a lot of people are thinking about homesteading and they are just, you know, planning for the future pretty much. And so, you know, when I started my homestead, I had a purpose. I wanted to be self-sustainable, and that has still been the benchmark that I measure my homestead on. And I've grown so much. So I started homesteading. Back in 2014. Okay, and it was a small homestead. I'll put up photo of my garden and whatnot. Back then, it was humble beginnings, is what I call it. But yeah. So when I retired, so I was still active duty, so I didn't have a lot of time to really put into homesteading. But I knew at least, you know, I wanted to grow my own food. So I grew a lot of food in that little space. And when I retired from the Army in 2019, I knew that my goal for homesteading was much bigger than what I had. And so I moved to Georgia. One reason I moved to Georgia was I was in the same zone. I was in zone 8A in Washington State. And when I moved here, this zone was zone 8A. Now it's zone 8B, and the Washington State zone is 8B. So I knew that the growing conditions would be pretty close. And for me, this wind's picking up. I hope my mic is doing good. So for me, the gardening aspect of homesteading was my focus. Well, after moving here and getting started, I'm coming inside the chicken run. How y'all doing today? I don't know if y'all can see me in here. Let me get out here. So, first thing I did when I got here to this property was I created a garden. And that was the umami garden. And I'll put pictures up here about, me, the construction of it, and maybe some finished photos of it and whatnot. And that was my little garden oasis down there. And for the first almost year, that's what I had here. So I started with a garden. Then I bought 4 chickens, okay? And I know some people out there gonna laugh at me because they told me that chicken math gonna get you. And I didn't, I was like, no, I got a plan, I got a purpose. And for the most part, I've kept up with that plan. But the 4 quickly turned into 8. The 8 quickly turned into 12, and so on and so forth. And now we're at the point where we don't count. We listen and we don't judge. So along that time as well, I also got my rabbits back here in this back part. I got some rabbits back there. I use them for the manure. Because also that's self-sustainable, So now I have garden, I got some chickens that's laying eggs, I got me some rabbits that's providing manure. The chickens are also providing me with their manure that I can put in my compost. The rabbit manure is going straight into the garden, and I mean it's all a complete circle. And to me, that's self-sustainable, kind of a bit of regenerative agriculture there. Step by step by step, I started doing my composting really heavy, so I got a good amount of compost that I'm producing here on my homestead. All of these things I put in place incrementally, and it's produced what I have today. Now, what I have today, is it a fine polished machine? No, it is not. I got junk laying around. I got stuff, that I got to fix and whatnot. But each day I do something to kind of try to make it better, If you take, for instance, my backyard garden, this is the before and this is the after. Complete night and day. And that didn't happen overnight. That took, I probably started it 2 years ago, maybe a year and a half ago. So I built that greenhouse last year in the winter. And at that point, I already had the garden going. So yeah, probably about 2 years ago is when I started transforming that, and it's still transforming today. I just added those raised beds. I just added another trellis to it. I just put some more drip irrigation down over there. So it's an ongoing, continuing thing. So don't ever think that, just because you started here, that you, what the heck? I think he's trying to push a phone. We might have some turkey eggs here soon. my eye there. So, um, but yeah, so little steps is what I would recommend for the new homesteader. You don't have to jump into it with this big old production and building big infrastructure and just kind of getting overwhelmed. Kind of do what you can handle. Um, I like my blueprint. I really do. Start with a garden. Doesn't have to be a big garden. My first garden was 24 by 24, which I don't think that's a big garden. My backyard garden is like 60 by 20. My Ura garden is 45 by 45. So, and not to mention the other stuff that I've planted, like my muscadines, my trees, my berry bushes, all that stuff I didn't plant on day one. So it was on my mind on day one. And so I'd say the first thing for a homesteader to do is to plan. Plan it out. Go put your dreams into it, okay? But you don't have to be at your end goal on day one. All right? Just plan it all out. I knew I wanted fruit trees. I knew I wanted bushes. I knew I wanted muscadines. I knew I wanted chickens. I knew I wanted a garden. And I knew I wanted rabbits, you know? From day one, I knew all of that. I really didn't think about a greenhouse until probably a year and a half into this property. So yeah, that first step is the plan. After the planning is done, it's the execution. You got to find where you want to have your homestead at. If it's at your current location, you can always start something at your current location and then move to where you want to be. So I ended up purchasing a location, and then I started getting to work, you know. The second step of my process was to purchase the land. The third step of my process was to get to work. And when I say get to work, for me, that was starting a garden. After I started the garden, I had that for a little while and got that going, and I felt very comfortable managing the garden. Then I went to purchasing chickens. And then once I got to a point with chickens that I felt, oh, I feel really comfortable with chickens, I got rabbits, and so on and so forth. And now this year, I dabbled in meat birds, you know? So each year I'm adding something onto that, maybe 2 or 3 things onto it that gets me closer to my goal. And my goal is ever changing. The main goal for me, like I said, is being self-sustainable. So I want to grow 80% of what I eat, at least 80% of what I eat. So therefore, that's where the meat birds, that's where the egg layers come in. That's where my gardens come in. I'll probably do another source of meat. Maybe it's rabbits, you know. I may do rabbits as meat. I hunt deer to supplement beef. I pretty much use deer for anything that I would use beef for. And that just is how that's how I've determined that I want to run my homestead. And that's the other thing. That's the caveat on it. It's your homestead. So by all means, you know, get information from people, do your research, but don't let anyone tell you that you have to do it a certain way. Even my videos, it may not work for you. So make sure that you are trying things out, trying new things, but at the same time, seeing what works for you, what you're comfortable doing. That's what I do. I mean, I follow some YouTubers that I treat kind of as mentors, and they give me a lot of great information. And I use some of it, and I don't use some of it. You know, it's like when I was in the military. I had a saying, or we have a saying that put that in your toolbox. And so whether you have a good leader or a bad leader, you take little bits and pieces from here and there, and you put it in your tool bag so you have it for later on in your career. That's the same approach I use when taking advice and taking and gathering information for my homestead. But Anyway, I hope that helps, somebody as far as, they're struggling taking on a homestead, or they feel like it's an overwhelming feat. There's a lot of information out there, and trust me, it can become overwhelming. But sometimes you just got to take a few steps back and just take a breath and tell yourself, you know what? I'm going to do what's comfortable for me. And if that works, great. If it doesn't work, I'll tweak it, change it, do whatever I got to do. I'll do anything but give up. And that's the Salty Dog Homestead philosophy right there. Never give up. And I struggle sometimes with this YouTube thing. I got the homestead thing down. I mean, I'm constantly learning, but I got it down. This YouTube stuff, I don't have it down. It's kind of like playing golf, It's one of those things where it's like, man, it's so challenging, but it's fun to do, but you're never really good at it, That's how I feel about YouTube and how I'm performing on YouTube. But I'm not giving up, and I'm gonna do this thing till the wheels fall off. So anyway, I got some more projects that I'm working on today. I'm gonna hopefully be able to install that the nesting box that the subscriber sent me. Awesome thing. I was having issues with chickens eating eggs, and so this is going to help a lot because the eggs are going to roll away. Perfect. And I had another project that I was going to do, and I can't think of it right now, but that's neither here nor there. I appreciate you guys hanging out with me. I'm in here with my chickens. They're all up in the house, it looks like. What's that for? Old Thanksgiving right here. Thanksgiving's a good boy. But anyway, thank you guys for watching. I really appreciate it. Do all the YouTube stuff, and I'll see you in the next video. Peace.